Greetings, Guardians, my name is Bife here. So I'll offer you this quick note about spoilers really quickly. They'll be here in this video. The thumbnail will change in a few days too, probably, given that, well, it's hard not to talk about things to do with what's happening in this video without throwing things directly in the thumbnail. Be aware we're going to dive right in. And on that note, go fish. No, seriously, go fishing in D2. You're gonna need it for what we're talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about the brand new exotic quest in Destiny and its lore implications. It tells us a lot about Xivu Arath and her relationship to us as she sees it, and frankly that's really important to know, given it helps us track how she's going to interact with us in the future, specifically as certain time frames and different moments and events continue. This may give us a course to understand what Xivu believes us to be. Not to mention, it's a mission where basically we get to raid an underwater pyramid ship temple to Xivu. And that's, I mean, as far as a story premise is concerned, that's pretty cool. Okay, but like, where does our story really begin though? Well, with fishing. I wish I could say more about this, and I wish there was something a little bit more in depth, but it's pretty clear that this is just one of those moments where, because video game, we scooped up a bunch of detritus while we were fishing, including some broken blades. It's odd to think of it like this, but I guess this is really a quest for 4 exotics, 3 pieces of armor that you get randomly, and 1 that you get at the very end of everything. I don't know. The point is, you need to go to each fishing location and catch one of the unique fish from that location. The first one that we ever actually caught was the Whispering Moth Carp from Savathun's Throne World, and alongside it, when we deposit the fish, we found that we'd picked up a shard of a broken blade. This is one of those important moments where you've got to remember that a hive sword, when broken, is kind of representative of a whole bunch of things. Now, if we'd retrieved this from Savathun's Throne World alone, this would have been a really cool relic and something which most definitely was indicative of her relationship to Xivu, but we also end up recovering shards of this broken blade from Nessus and Earth. No idea what the relationship is there, so I hate to say it, I feel like this broken blade, a Blade of Strife I believe it's called, is merely one of those indicators of, hey, because video game. Anyway, after recovering all the shards of these broken blades, nothing seems to happen. It's just there in our inventory alongside our fishing tackle. So that's what's really interesting. For the moment, nothing seems to be going on. But then we go into deep dive and the story continues. As we plumb the depths of the caverns beneath the waves of Titan, there are many secrets we can uncover. But there was one that was most definitely perplexing a few of us when we first noticed it in the story mission finale for the Season of the Deep. Many people were actually chatting about me with this, and I noticed it myself, but when we enter the final arena, there's an offshoot to the right. It's a door, and it's closed. And you know what? The obsidian color and sharp, brittle corners that look as though they are somehow made of unbreakable stone, paradoxical as something is like that, yeah, it's pyramid architecture. There is a pyramid structure down here. That in itself is terrifying, because as if you didn't need more reason to go down deep into the depths of Titan, now you have another reason. If a pyramid structure appears, generally speaking, you can be pretty clear on the idea that this is bad news. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's been placed there for eons, it can be placed on a fairly short timescale, as we've seen in the Season of Defiance. But what it is worth noting is that whenever you go inside, you are going into the bowels of an actual pyramid. You are engaging in the territory of the darkness and the witness. So it's worth being careful. And as it turns out, there was one question attached to the door that led inside this pyramid complex that no one could open. And it was simply this: how do you get inside? As it turns out, the shards of the broken blades that we'd been retrieving were less blades and more keys. By leaving them as offerings to various shrines throughout the descent, Xivu Arath would notice us, contacting us, and by the time we had dumped all 3 offerings, we would be judged as worthy. Take a listen to what she says to us.
Let's spill into the seas of Titan, until the tides retreat at my name! The whetstone awaits. Bring your violence like a wave against mine stones. Blade and scabbard part ways. Bear your violence upon mine altar!
With our offerings made, it's clear that Xivu is inviting us to a challenge. She describes us like a whetstone sharpening a blade, making it ready for war, making it ready for a final test of sorts. And then we step out into the second arena in Deep Dive, and you can see that there is a Chill Touch modifier activated. Remember that the name Chill Touch is something which not only will apply to the exotic by the end of it, but also is something indicative of the specific power of darkness employed by the Witness's agents. Stasis is a power based in control, and is used by the Witness to exert its domineering will over others. It is not surprising at all that Xivu has been granted a certain degree of power within this particular element. It is not surprising, especially considering that all sorts of different servants of the darkness have begun to wield stasis. This, of course, includes the Taken that Xivu now commands. After defeating the second arena in Deep Dive, instead of following the main path, we can head off to the right, and at that point, we push deep into uncharted territory at the heart of Xivu's influence on Titan. One final challenge needs to be invoked, and then the trials will begin. It is here that we enter into a gamut of combat in the name of the Hive God of War. The tunnels ahead of us teem with danger that will only increase as we actually push onwards towards the pyramid itself. Finally, as we make our way to the door, we're met with the voice of Xivu Arath, as we leave the Vanguard behind.
Connection's a little fuzzy. Losing you on tracking, hero. Good luck.
And so, as we enter the temple, Xivu explains in rather simple terms what her gamut of combat will look like.
I welcome the blade of your will into my temple. Mine heart rests open in vivisection to receive it. Approach and earn audience. Sharpen thyself against me as I sharpen myself against you. Or leave ragged here the flesh of your failure.
From here onward, we're taking part in a gambit of Xivu's own making. In this temple to the God of War, the Hive practice the ways of the sword logic. Its champions speak in the language of violence. That language is one we speak well, but to the Hive there is an eloquence to it. We must display that eloquence as well as that speed. What is a battle cry to us is a sonnet to the Hive. What is a scream of defeated combatants to us is a glorious tribute made in the name of the final shape to them. And to us, we would see survival at all costs by simply making it out of this trial alive. But to the Hive, they might see such an act as the ambrosia that births immortality. Within this gauntlet of combat, we need to continually prove our ferocity and strength against two of Xivu's great agents. The first is merely a Taken Knight, an executioner of Xivu Arath's foes. It is the blade upon which we sharpen ourselves first. Understanding part of how this temple ritual works is key to success. The sword logic demands strength and violence in its name. Those that you see around the arena that are known as honed enemies or servile enemies are those that you need to destroy in order to gain power. Using them like whetstones to sharpen your blade makes you more devastating, and as your power reaches a climax, you are able to destroy even the most powerful of foes. It's this power that we need to take advantage of as we go on to face the other challenge within this temple. The second challenge is an omen of Xivu Arath's domain, the bladed black terrace from which she lords over to conduct war upon all of the universe. This is one of her champions, an omen of that black terrace. The sword logic has no time for weakness either. Stepping foot within this temple and enacting its rituals requires us to submit fully to its laws and restraints. Should we not prove sufficiently strong, we will be defeated, either at the hands of Xivu's wicked servants or by ejection as our brutality is deemed unworthy and insufficient. The battle with the Tormentor that we face is fierce and brutal, just like the Hive God of War. But assuming that you're able to channel your ferocity, you will prove your worth and be granted an audience with the Hive God of War. In doing so, you'll earn something as a token of her respect, a token that will lead to devastation untold.
champion most deserving of this audience, I anoint thee a wicked thorn. Rise from the deep, bloodied warrior, and wield it without mercy.
Guardian? Guardian! There you are. Tactical, I've got a lock on them. We're heading back. Requesting a transmat buoy to your position. Hold tight.
This is the Wicked Implement, a weapon to be held by the Hive War God's champion, a thorn with which she has anointed us in blood. We have not only served ourselves with this action, but we have also ensured that the War God has been honored. A double-edged decision for certain, for not only have we made ourselves more powerful, but also we have drawn the eye of Xivu Arath to us. This is something we should be wary of. Xivu knows of our specific existence now, even if she was unaware before. That is unlikely given that we are the same champions that killed her brother and slew her sister. But perhaps most importantly, when it comes to that particular nugget of information, she is now looking at us specifically in a new light. Our triumph may be something that she has awaited for a long time. The double-edged decision to serve Xivu within her own temple and claim the power within has yielded powerful benefits though, particularly to those utilizing the power of stasis. Following our triumph, however, we can discover pyramid shards floating around the temple. Destroying each of them allows us to unlock more words from Xivu Arath. Destroying them all gives us this new note and reveals to us a hint of Xivu's intentions for us. This is why she gave us the Wicked Implement.
An offering broken. A remnant of grief inscripted by my sister's needle upon this temple. A temple built of whispers. Tied to war and secret, sunken in the deep graveyard of the strong. All who pass through these halls are mine, champion. Steeped in strife. You, a true warrior, limited by the sky. See what transpires on this canvas, where there are no limits. You are an instrument of battle. You know my banner. I am war. I have always been your god, and your tribute is mighty. Sharpen thyself upon mine implement, that in time, the clash of our meeting blades may leave a scar upon existence eternal.
Now we can understand Xivu's purpose. As we used this temple's honed foes as implements to sharpen ourselves and improve our own power, so Xivu intends to use us for the same purpose. She has gifted us the Wicked Implement for the same reason that Xivu Arath gifted us the Deathbringer, to ensure that we were powerful. In Savathun's case, it is impossible to judge the myriad of ulterior motives that she might have had for a powerful guardian that might have worked in her deceiving plots. In the case of Xivu Arath, however, the motive is quite clear. She wishes for us to be sharp and brutal and vicious beyond compare. She wishes for our might to eclipse the stars, so that when we do eventually rise anew to battle against her forces, to challenge her, that she might truly be challenged. For it is only in such a challenge that one might better themselves in the eyes of the sword logic. It is only in the conquest of such a challenge that one moves closer to the final shape. It may be the case that Xivu even understands and sees how powerful we are, and believes that we may well be her final test. What is perhaps strange to some is how Xivu speaks to us during many of the moments of our conquest. We are her ritual offering which allows her to stand closer to the final shape. We are the thing that she's meant to kill, and yet she is pouring admiration upon us and has even given us a weapon. It seems at first as though it makes no sense. But those that understand the Hive may understand that this is in fact simply par for the course. As her champion, we have proven our strength, as we continue to play into her role as the great conqueror who challenges the universe. We have challenged the power of gods ourselves and are worthy of her respect as the god of war. We have conducted war in her name always, even if not knowingly so. Had we activated the Warmind's warsats, it would have been an act that Xivu would have taken power from, even if it was in self-defense. This is how she draws her strength. We have always been tithing to Xivu Arath in one way or another. The thing about the Hive, though, and more specifically about their relationship to war, is that they see it in a positive manner. To the Hive, love is war. We have carved a bloody swath through Xivu's forces, and we have only strengthened ourselves in doing so. But Xivu still stands before us as a challenge, and we have strengthened ourselves mightily to face her. If we do stand before the god of war, there will only be one victor. Whoever slays the other will be stronger for the challenge of it. If we die on her blade, or if she dies on ours, the sword logic is proven once again, and in this, Xivu fulfills her place. However, it is clear that one thing is planned. Xivu wishes for a climactic battle, one where we will battle against her and make her strong enough to be a part of the Witness's vision for the future. Till then, she is willing to fatten us on the gristle of combat so that we might present a worthy challenge when the time is right. And to Xivu Arath, that is all that matters. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like. And if you did have any thoughts of your own, leave them down below in the comments section. This is one of those moments I think of Hive hubris once again. There are those Hive who would jealously guard their tools and perhaps not conduct themselves in a manner that represents the sword logic so well. Come and get them might be the way that Xivu has approached this, but ultimately we have come and gotten those strong tools. Do you think that this is ultimately going to lead to her downfall? I think that it might well. Maybe not even with this single specific weapon, but a weapon such as, say, the Deathbringer. That might be worthy of something truly terrifying. What I will also say is this: thank you again so much to all of those of you who have stuck around and have supported the channel through the season. It's been an amazing first few months of the Season of the Deep, and honestly, view-wise, things are looking really good. So, yeah, thank you. I'll also say that if you want more Destiny content, you can go ahead and hit subscribe, and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. But as per usual, know that your viewership, as always, is quite enough for me. And that in the meantime, my name is Bife. Rodacia Arastra. I'll see you Starside.